What is up, guys? Dzeeff here, and a few days ago I saw a TCG player posted a deck list that recently got a top 8 at a core TCG remote duel regional, and it was a Machina Ruin Force plus Outstanding Dog Mary FTK. Now, Outstanding Dog Mary and Ruin Force are both brand new cards in Burst of Destiny, and this FTK deck is absolutely hilarious. It's not the most consistent thing in the world, but you do have a number of ways to get to your main combo. Basically, how this works is you only play one normal summonable monster, the Outstanding Dog Mary, and then the rest of your deck is Machina Ruin Force plus a bunch of machine monsters to banish for its effect. Ruin Force can revive itself from the graveyard as many times as you want by banishing machine monsters from your graveyard whose levels equal 12 or more. The reason you specifically have to play Outstanding Dog Mary over any other monster in the game is that when this card goes to the graveyard, you can put it on the bottom of your deck. That means if you use a Monster Gate or a Reasoning, you are guaranteed to mill every single card in your deck, which sets up the FTK. And then, like I said, the rest of your deck is basically level 12 machine monsters that can't be normal summoned or set. Why does it matter that they can't be normal summoned or set? Because you're trying to use Monster Gate and Reasoning to mill your entire deck to the graveyard. And when those cards hit monsters that can't be normal summoned or set, they keep going. So you have to play specifically machine monsters that are level 12 but can't be normal summoned or set. Once you get to a point where your entire deck is in the graveyard or a majority of it is in the graveyard, you can use Ruin Forces in your graveyard to special summon themselves a bunch of times and then leverage those into rank 10 monsters or link monsters to make sure that you can use Gustav Max 4 times on turn 1. You'll summon the 3 normally, and then you'll also be able to shuffle one back into your extra deck, and if you use 4 copies of Gustav Max, you can do 8,000 damage to your opponent before they ever even start their turn. Now, I don't really know why. I think he might have just not been able to find Draconids in time, but for some reason the guy that played this deck played 2 copies of Magic Key Mech Mortar and only 1 copy of Drytron Draconids. I don't really understand this because Draconids is level 12 and that's what you want in the graveyard. For my list, I've swapped out the Magic Key Mech Mortars for 2 more copies of Draconids because I do feel like that is the optimal choice. Here is the deck list. We have 3 copies of Ruin Force, 3 copies of Cannon, which is a pretty important card because you contribute it for Monster Gate, 3 copies of both of the Drytron Ritual monsters, 3 copies of a Mech Lord, 3 copies of some TG Hellbird Cannon. These cards don't matter at all other than that you are trying to send them to the graveyard to banish with your Ruin Force. 1 copy of Outstanding Dog Mary. This card is adorable. 1 copy of Instant Fusion, 3 copies of Monster Gate and 1 copy of Reasoning, 3 copies of Machina Redeployment, 3 copies of Left Arm Offering, which is very good, 3 copies of Perform Pel Popper Up, an incredibly good card in this deck. It gets you more draws and it puts a bunch of monsters in the graveyard. It's kind of like your 1 copy of Card Destruction, but you have 3 of them instead of just 1. You also have 1 copy of 1 for 1. This card is crazy powerful in this deck. You can summon that Mary right from your deck. 1 copy of Called by the Grave, of course, and for going second, you have 2 copies of Mystic Mine and 1 copy of Terraforming. I will say here, though, you are not trying to use this card to deck the opponent out or anything like that. This card is primarily played to bait a negation from your opponent so that even when you're going second, you can still OTK. And finally, we have 1 copy of Machina Overdrive, which is a pretty good card to mill with your Monster Gate or Reasoning. For the extra deck, we have 3 copies of Gustav Max. You are trying to summon this card 4 times on turn 1 to get that FTK. 1 copy of the Juggernaut, 1 copy of each of the Spider cards, 1 copy of Zeus, just in case, and then a bunch of Link monsters. We have Access Code Talker, the Magician. This is how you bounce back 1 of the Gustav Maxes so that you can actually use the Gustav Max 4 times. 1 copy of Appaloosa, which you can make sometimes. 1 copy of Nightmare Griffin, 1 copy of Phoenix, 1 copy of Unicorn, which you also can use to shuffle back a Gustav Max if you can't set up the Magician. 1 copy of Link Rebo to send the Mary to the bottom of the deck, and 1 copy of that Millennium Eyes Restrict. Now, admittedly, I'm not the greatest player with this deck. It does have a bunch of really weird interactions, but I think I have the main combo down, and yesterday afternoon I played a bunch of games with it. I got some pretty funny ones, and I hope you guys enjoy the clips in today's video. Will this deck take over any tournaments anytime soon? Probably not, but it is pretty funny, and it's a really cool FTK combo, and it did just get a top 8 at a regional, so you might come across this at locals or regionals in the future, and in that case, this video will help you know how to beat it. Anyway, without further ado, let's jump into the gameplay. We're going first. That's good. I have cut out a number of games from the video where I just opened like 4 level 12 monsters. That's just going to happen with this deck. You are playing a lot of them and you have to play them, so that's kind of tough. This hand's pretty good though, so I think what we want to do here reasoning and then popper up. It doesn't really matter what they call with reasoning. Even if they call 1, you just put it back to the bottom anyway. You don't actually need the outstanding dog on the board. Okay, we're milling basically our entire deck here. I have no idea where the outstanding dog is. It must be like basically on the bottom, which is really lucky when that happens. How many cards did we mill? Oh, it was the second to last card in the deck. Okay, that's obviously very good. We milled the Instant Fusion, so I guess we just go for the FTK here and see what happens. Now, one thing that's important here, and I've already screwed this up once today, you want to make sure, at least in the combo that I'm doing, that you summon the Gustav Max to the right column, because you do have to bounce one back with the Link 2 monster, so that is very important. I don't know how people are doing this combo. I might be doing it the wrong way. I probably am. I'm sure people in the comment section are correcting me, but this is just how I've been doing it, and this seems to work pretty well. So I burn them once with the Gustav Max, of course, and then you can go for another Ruin Force. Bring that back, so we banish the Drytron. And this also works if you only mill 2 of the Ruin Forces. Right here we milled all of them, which is really lucky, but you don't actually need all of them because that puts one of them back in the graveyard. So then we banish this, go for a second Gustav Max. And this one you want to summon into the zone that's underneath the extra monster zone. Honestly, I probably should never summon anything under there except the second Gustav Max, but it's just like a habit to just not care about that kind of stuff. But in this deck, it actually is very important that you summon things in the right spots. So then you go for the Ruin Force here. So because we had all 3 Ruin Force available, we could do this, but know that if you don't have all of them available, you can go for the Juggernaut and then detach the second Ruin Force with that effect, which puts it back in your graveyard to get to this point, but instead of having a Gustav Max right here, you'd have the Juggernaut instead. But you don't need to have all 3 Ruin Force to do this combo. You only need 2 in the graveyard. So this activates, it bounces that back to our extra deck. We can go ahead and banish that to special this, and then banish another one to special another one. It's not that complicated of a combo. It does lose to a number of hand traps, but it is pretty funny when it works. So from here we can go for another Gustav Max, summon that right out, and now our opponent's going to be at 2,000 life points, and we can very easily summon the final Gustav Max, which in this case is the 4th Gustav Max that we have summoned in this one turn, which is always hilarious. This deck is just so funny when it works, and honestly it does work more often than you might think. I won't say it's the most consistent deck because you do play a lot of bricks, but there are so many power spells that you can usually dig to your combo. There we go, that is the FTK. It'd be really funny if our opponent saved like one effect dealer for the final Gustav Max here, but I do not think that is the case. There we go. Easy peasy. Okay, so like I said, I don't know all of the ins and outs of this deck. I have just sat down and played a few games. Okay, this hand's hilarious. Yeah, so one thing with this deck is that you could just draw all of the higher leveled monsters and you won't really have a way to play the game, but that's just kind of the nature of this type of silly deck. But I have not played this deck enough to truly know all of the ins and outs, especially when going second. This deck is not too difficult to pilot. When you go first, you can usually just do the regular OTK, but when you go second to navigating through interruptions and stuff, that gets a bit trickier, which is kind of unfortunate. Also, I feel it's worth mentioning once again here that in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Omega platform, which is what I play on, for some reason they allow OSG cards in the TCG rooms and the casual rooms. I don't really know why they do that. I think it's a really bad design, but it is what it is, I guess. So our opponent is using cards from the upcoming Albaz structure deck, which are currently not legal in the TCG right now. So we probably lose right here. We have the card destruction. I mean, maybe we can Mystic Mine, bait the Dragoon, negate, and then card destruction into full combo. That would be pretty surprising, though. They have to negate this, I think, so... Wait, didn't negate it. Why? Okay, I'll just pass then, I don't know. Maybe the Albaz deck has ways to pop cards? I don't really know, but this will give us a couple turns. The main problem here is that without the Mystic Mine on the board, the Dragoon kind of wrecks us, and our only way to out Mystic Mine is to... another Red Eyes Fusion. How many copies of you... Oh, because he shuffles... Okay, I see. Gotcha. So 2 Dragoon, pretty good. I think if they summon 4 monsters, we can actually do the FTK. I don't think they can have 3 though, but if they have 4, I think we can. Oh, Instant Fusion, that's pretty good. Okay, let me think about this. I think we can actually try to go for a game here. So let's Instant Fusion, go for this. They have a response potentially, which is kind of scary. Oh, they have a punishment. Okay, so that's not like the biggest deal. It's kind of annoying, but we'll card destruction, see what we draw into. Okay, that is not quite good enough. It's potentially enough. By putting the overdrive in the graveyard, we could theoretically still win the game. I just think it's pretty unlikely. So we'll go for the overdrive, shuffle back some cards. It's pretty tough. Maybe we'll just keep passing. I think we can maybe stall it out. We just need to hit a monster gate or like a reasoning, I guess. Now he has 4 monsters on the board, so we could actually win the game. So at this point, it is kind of a race because if he special summons the Dark Magician, he can use the Dark Magical Circle to out it. We have the Monster Gate. Okay, we probably have the OTK here, potentially. So we'll go discard the entire hand, right? You want them all in the grave? So we'll discard our entire hand, basically, to summon this. Then we'll Monster Gate. All right, show me a lot of mills here. I do not know exactly how many cards we need in the graveyard to do this FTK. I will say that in all the times that I've played this deck so far, I had way more monsters in graveyard than necessary. So maybe you don't need all of them in the grave. So right now, yeah, we have like infinite Ruin Force activations. The tricky part is not going to be to do the FTK. We have that available right now. We need to do it without summoning more than 4 monsters at a time, though. That's the tricky part. But I think we can actually do this. It's pretty incredible. So we'll go for the Ruin Force. We'll go for the other one. Maybe I could just OTK using the big rank 11 monster. I probably could, actually. But we'll go for the Gustav here. It's at 6,000 right now. Couldn't I just attack over both those? It should be. So activate this, detaching this. It's at 6,000. Yeah, that's an OTK. Okay, so not the FTK that we're trying to do, but I think that is kind of cool to show that this deck has other win conditions than just the regular FTK, but still a pretty good OTK here. All thanks to Mystic Mind, which is why that's in the deck. I hope like someone that I played today comments on today's video, because I feel like I'm just playing against so many people that are gonna wonder why like I drew my opening hand and then immediately scooped, or like activated 1 card and then immediately scooped. And it's because I'm playing this deck, not a regular deck. That is why that is happening. But I wonder if like people are kind of confused about why I'm just immediately scooping so many times. Like right here, we don't have a way to do anything. Maybe it could have been argued that I should have discarded the other Monster Gate, but that's like your main like combo card besides Reasoning, so I think we had to keep it. But yeah, we do not have a win condition here, so we have to surrender. And that's really just like how this deck goes. And I've sat here and played this deck quite a lot this afternoon. And while I will say that it's pretty consistent, it's not like an every single game type of situation. There are so many bricks in this deck that it just doesn't seem to work out every single time. I think I played this guy earlier as well. Okay, so we have the left arm, we have the redeployment. How do we want to do this? We'll go for the instant fusion, of course. Summon the Relinquished out. So we have to left arm here, and we can stop 1 hand trap, not both. We're going to have to get pretty lucky right here because we have not set up the Outstanding Dog Mary yet, but theoretically we could get a win right here with the Reasoning, depending on where that dog is in the deck. We have milled 1 Ruin Force and a bunch of monsters. Dang it. Okay. That is not going to work, unfortunately. Yeah, not enough. So we'll go ahead and surrender. Oh, man. Spiral Flame Strike, okay. The real question is, how many negates can this person put up? You know, that's what matters. I think we can play through like 1 negate because we have the Mystic Mind to bait things. Not that we have Mystic Mind in our hand, but I think we can pretty consistently play through like 1 negate. Grabbing Odd Eyes Fusion. Okay, looks like we are going to play through 1 negate. At least, I guess. I mean, who really knows? But the Odd Eyes Vortex Dragon will presumably be summoned here. I've never seen that card in my life. Perform Pel Odd Eyes Dissolver. Go for the Vortex, sure. Vortex set 1 pass. Okay. Oh, we have Mystic Mind. Cool. Activate Mystic Mind. Yep. Pretty good. Okay, and then we're going to activate the redeployment, adding Ruin Force and the cannon. And then we're going to... Have I done my math wrong? No, I have not. Okay. I got scared for a moment there. We're going to discard that. Because you have to have 2 other cards in your hand when you activate Left Arm Offering. So we can left arm, go for Reasoning, and we're just going to cross our fingers and hope that the dog is not in the top 2 cards of the deck. This deck does seem pretty funny to play like at a locals though, because it's just so ridiculous when it works. Milled 2. Okay, there's another Ruin Force. I think we have enough. Yeah, I think that's enough. We'll see here. I wish we played like a Link 2 that could actually like lock down the back row. I don't know if there's like a card like that though. Like Phoenix works if you have a card in hand, but anyway. I don't know if we have enough cards to banish. I think we are pretty close though, so I'm just going to go for it and see what happens. See, that's like where my inexperience comes in with this deck, because maybe it's not about burning when you go second. Maybe it's about just like attacking over things. Probably. Like, I think the Ruin Force can just like attack regularly, so burn right there, go for this, banishing this. Yeah, we're gonna have to like do something besides burning. I guess we don't have enough. Yeah, I'm actually not sure what I'm supposed to do right here. So I think I'm going to access code. I'm not entirely sure if I know what to do right here. Actually, I'm pretty sure I don't know what to do. But I think by doing this, we can actually set ourselves up for an OTK with access code, which is pretty good. So we just do these 3, make access code, activate access code, targeting the Phoenix, and then we banish the Link Karibo to pop the back row, and then banish the Phoenix to pop Vortex Dragon. That triggers to special from deck. Okay, that's fine. I kind of forgot about that. Apparently that can summon back... Okay, so I definitely didn't realize that that was going to happen. Maybe I should have read my opponent's cards a little bit better, but maybe it's okay. So we can go banish that to special this. User error, you know, that's how it goes. Banish this. We have 2 more summons of these cards. I think we have game, even through that horrible, horrible misplay. So this can detach to do 2k. So if I go into this, I can then detach the other Ruin Force, put it to 6,000. So I'll attack this. He'll be at 500. And then main phase 2, I can make another Gustav Max. Okay, so that was like a horrible, horrible misplay on my part. But luckily the deck is just so powerful that even through one of the worst misplays I've done in a while, we can still get the win. Oh man, that's funny. Okay, so clearly that was not what I was supposed to do right there. I should have popped the Pendulum Dragon and then the back row probably. What was the back row? It was Odd Eyes Fusion. But regardless, we still got in there. We still won. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. This combo deck does get the combo when you open like a playable hand, but like half the time you don't draw a playable hand because there's so many unplayable monsters in the deck. But when it does open the spell cards, you usually can get the FTK, and it does have a number of tools going second to help play through interruptions and still OTK even when your opponent has a board. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and let me know in the comment section what you think about this deck. Personally, I think the deck is very fun, but it's probably not consistent enough for widespread tournament use. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you later. Goodbye.